All right. Good morning, everybody. And I've got Sammy on Facebook Live says, "I love coffee chats with Nat." Yay, thank you. You're welcome, Sammy. All right. And for those of you that didn't hear me, obviously I've been talking at Facebook Live for the last minute. Is that we are at the moment? I'm in Perth. I'm in a dark room. It's barely just clicked over 6 a.m. For those of you that know me, I hate mornings. I can't believe that I'm up this early, but obviously my brain's probably still on Melbourne time, so it's like 9 a.m. And this morning we start something brand new. We're starting coffee chats with some guest presenters and guest interviewees, if you like. And I was so inundated with the response last week because, I've been talking for 7 or 8 months, and I said, why don't we shine the light on some other people in our community and our Ultimate Business Support Group. Now, those of you that don't know what we are about, it's all we bring in this coffee chats as a weekly value add to our members of our Ultimate Business Support Facebook group. And apologies if I'm talking a little bit quiet. I'm not normally this quiet because the rest of the house here at my friend Lench's is sleeping. Poor guys, I got them up early yesterday when I arrived. So I'll be just a little bit quieter than normal. All right, guys. Thank you for the messages that have been coming through Facebook Live, and great to see quite a few of you on there. And a few people have joined through GoToWebinar as well. Unfortunately, we're not doing Periscope like I do normally, and I'm hoping the internet's gonna do us good. But good morning, Megan. Megan's on the call, Chris. Chris, say hello.
Hey Megan, and hello to everyone else. Happy Monday morning.
Well, let me do, and thank you so much for coming on today, but let me do the official introduction if you like. I'm going to flick my little slide and I'm going to flick the little thing on Facebook so people can see your book. This is the gorgeous Chris Dennis, who has written this book, Tendering for Tradies, Win-Win Tendering Strategies. And I'll just turn that off backwards to me now that they've seen your awesome face. But the official introduction, if you like, is that Chris is an author, speaker, trainer, and a tendering expert for the and has 20 years of experience in corporate Australia. She's the owner of Win-Win Tendering and creator of Tendering University. How cool is that? I love that sexy name, Chris, all the way. She found her niche helping small and medium-sized companies the chance to compete with the big end of town. Too often, she saw smaller companies offering more value with better products and services that could have saved millions for the end client tenders. Chris shows companies how to win more profitable tenders and reduce time wasted and money when responding to tenders and quotes. So for those of you that are on the calls, like I had never heard of the word, say, tender. Like I came to Australia obviously when I was 14. So tendering is like quotes. Is that right, Chris? Like how do you quote someone?
Yeah, so a quote is, someone asks you for a price and for your products or services, and it's generally a one-on-one type scenario. So, say for example, if you phone up a Sparky to get electrical work done in your house, they give you a quote. It's a one-on-one type business. A tender is bigger than that. A tender may be for a whole building or a whole IT system, or it's a much bigger scenario, and it's normally through other businesses. So it's a B2B type arrangement.
Cool. Okay, I get it. All right. So yeah, it's much bigger and a lot more money involved. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so tenders can go up to billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah. And when you talk about like that kind, does that still obviously apply? I mean, small business owners can still go for big tenders, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a big push within governments at the moment, local, state, and federal governments, to give small businesses a go.
Yeah.
So they're putting out what's called panel tenders, where you can respond to just small parts, which is in line with small businesses.
Mhm.
So there's always opportunity out there.
Cool. Well, I've prepared a few questions because this is going to go quick, having only 10 or 15 minutes. And by the way, we'll have you on the call, for the whole time, just so we can answer any questions. By the way, guys, as you're listening to Chris, if there is something you want to ask her, please post it as we're talking, because I'm sure as we get towards the end, it'll feel like, quite rushed and stuff like that. So let's go through some of these. So one of my questions are, how can our listeners maximize their probability of winning their next quote or tender, if you like?
Okay, so there's three key areas. The first one is being least cost compliant. So if your client is asking you for a particular product or a particular service, give them a price based on exactly what they want, and then use options to show further value for your product or service. So think of the McDonald's, would you like fries, with that sort of approach.
Yeah.
And that way they can compare apples and apples.
Mm.
Otherwise they can't compare apples and apples, and they kind of go, no, nah, can't do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's the first one. The second one is making sure that all your documentation looks professional. There's nothing worse than getting a quote or a tender response that looks like you've just pulled it out of your kid's school bag type of thing. I had a couple of painters come in and give me quotes to paint my apartment, and both of them had we built rapport with each other, and I felt that they really understood what I wanted. But when I got the quote, one of them had handwritten the quote on an old quote book and took a photo on their iPhone and sent me the photo. Now, it looked okay, but it was really small and hard to read. The other one put it in a nice document and had some pictures that they'd taken of the apartment and said, this is what we're going to do here and there, and really stepped me through what they were doing. It looked more professional, which then meant I felt I was going to get a more professional job.
Mm.
So always making sure that your documentation looks and feels your company.
Even
That's always a
even if you're a small business, you can still make your information look amazing, because there's people on Fiverr and all that you can actually hire to format and make it look prettier, if you like. So
absolutely.
yeah, cool.
Yeah, there's always help out there, that's for sure.
Mm.
And the next one is knowing how the client fits with your company. So regardless of whether you're a B2B, business to business, or business to consumer,
Mm.
do you get the right feel from them that you can actually work together? Because, face it, none of us want that client that is going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
So there's some questions to ask yourself about your end client. Have they been upfront and honest with you about what they really want and why they want it? Do you understand what their selection criteria is? How are they going to say yes to you as opposed to no? Do you have you built rapport with them? Do you have a relationship? Um, can you deliver the contract?
Yeah.
Can you deliver the products and services? Is it within your own sweet spot?
Yeah.
It's pointless putting in a quote for something that you've never done before and you can't show references or testimonials, because they're not going to get those warm fuzzy feeling that you can actually do the job.
Yeah.
So there's some key things to really ask yourself, and that way you don't waste your time going for all these quotes that you actually can't win.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic advice. I've been reading the book by Grant Cardone called "Sell or Be Sold," and it talks about exactly these things about the unspoken things that happen in the sales process. And what you've just covered off were all of those questions that we should be asking ourselves when going, when going in for a discussion or putting together a quote.
Absolutely. Yeah, the worst thing is you get a client and they're not your ideal client and it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what should we include in our quotes? Maybe, but some people are just starting out who are listening, and we do get a lot of startups that come on these calls because they're working out and they're learning how to build their businesses. What would you put in a quote or a tender? Of course, tenders are big,
Okay.
but yeah, let's keep it simple, for this process.
Yeah, I'll keep it simple using quotes. So um, obviously, one thing that goes in a quote is your price, or as I call it, an investment. People are more likely to invest in their company or in their home or in themselves rather than pay money.
Yeah.
So investment is a great word to use.
Investment. Don't put the word cost down. That's my hate word. I hate the word. It makes you feel
Yeah.
like, you're losing something. So investment. Yep.
Um, Always put in terms and conditions. So when you've got your investment in there, how should they pay you? By when should they pay you? What it includes or excludes. So depending on your business, certain things may be excluded.
Mm.
Um, Really step out um, how long it will take to do your product or service. What are you going to provide? What do you actually do? And that way they can read through your quote and get a really good feeling for what they're going to get at the end. Um, and the biggest thing is always have a call to action within your quote. So what are the client's next steps? What do they need to do to say yes?
Mm.
you know, how do they contact you? How do they say yes? Is it via email? Is it a phone call? Is it a buy now button? Is it, whatever happens to be? Um, and everything within a quote should be written as what's in it for the client.
Yeah.
No one cares that you're an award-winning company. They care about what's in it for them.
Yeah. Absolutely agree. Mm. Beautiful. Anything else?
Um, Look, they're the key ones. So it's it's about showing your end client exactly what they're going to get and making it compelling for them to buy from you,
Mm.
making it easy for them to buy from you.
Yeah. You had a really cool thing that you said to me, and maybe a lot of people would love to have this happen. But how do you secure that second meeting with a potential business prospect? What is it that we need to do? Because often the sales don't happen immediately, and sometimes you need to have multiple touch points or multiple meetings to and then enable the winning of a quote or a contract or a tender. So, what is it that we need to be thinking about or acting to secure that next meeting?
Yeah, great question. So generally, when you have that first meeting with a client, it's to build rapport and to find out what problems they have.
Mhm.
And so many companies will go in, sort of cold call another company and go and have that meeting, and they feel like, yes, this is the client to have, and everything's all great. And then just before you leave, they say, so I need to go to my to the board, or I need to go and talk to my manager. Can you send me something?
Mhm.
And this is where a lot of companies fall down because they don't have something to send or they don't know what to send. So what you send them is what's called a capability document. And it shows what you do. So it shows what products and services you have. It goes through what that company's objectives are. So if their objective is to reduce cost and update their IT system or whatever it happens to be, you replay back to them exactly what they've told you.
Yeah.
Because that way they go, yes, they were listening. You also put in a section about how your products or services solve those problems that the company has told you about.
Yeah.
So what value you're adding to them.
Mm.
You also put in a very brief history of your company. Now, what I mean by a brief history, no more than 2 paragraphs long, because the document is about them, it's not about you.
Yeah.
You put in a section about what your products and services are. So you may have been talking to the end client, and in Natasha's scenario about the 48-hour author, but there's so many other things behind Natasha's business that you would also add into that section, and that way they can see all of your products and services, and you never know, those other sections may actually spark that further interest. You put in what your experience is. So key personnel, this is a really big one. Whether you're a one-man band or a small or medium business, who is that client going to be in contact with? How can you show that you've got the depth behind your staff about what they do, they've got experience in what they do. And the big thing with the key personnel, always include a photo of that person, because then that connection happens even more. You know, the picture says 1,000 words, and when you see someone's eyeballs in a photo, you get that connection. You include whatever projects you've done in the past. Now, if it's a physical type showcase, it would be really good. If it's intangible, then it's a little bit harder to do that. But try and show what projects you've done in the past. Include things like testimonials and certifications that you have. So, and insurances. Insurances are a big thing. The testimonials.
Can I interrupt for a sec to ask a question? So is this document the document that you're sending before you obviously are sending a quote? So you've had a meeting and then it's kind of just like a follow-up document. Is that the simple way of explaining it?
Yeah, it's a follow-up document, but it's also a document, if you've got it pre-done, when they ask you, can you send me something, you can say, how about I come back tomorrow or the next day and we go through the document I'll send you beforehand, and just make sure that we've covered off everything for you to make your decision.
Yeah.
So that's how you get in front of your client for that second meeting.
Yes.
And what that shows also is that you're responsive, that you're right there, that you know, if you're responsive in the sales cycle, you're going to be responsive in the delivery cycle.
Yeah, I'm big on that, and I think having something pre-prepared makes you look professional. Doesn't make you stress out. Like for the listeners, they may have been thinking, "Oh my God, that sounds like a lot of things." But you know what? You do it once, and this is a similar thing that I have done, obviously, with my speaker bio. When I want to speak at certain people's events, all I do is flick through my speaker bio, which gives them the 3 key topics with 3 key outcomes, my bio, my images of myself, my books, all that sort of stuff that boosts my credibility. It's a 1-page document, but I'm so far ahead of everyone else who doesn't even do that. for people. Of course, if you had like, say, as a speaking thing, if you had like a sizzle reel where you can send it off to someone, it almost like 98% of the time guarantees you'll get the gig. And this is, I'm guessing, if I talk about it being a comparable document, in a higher level, say, situation. Is that, I'm getting
Yeah,
this right? Yeah.
absolutely. This is mainly for a B2B type business.
Yes.
Um, and it can be as small as one page and could be some of my clients, they've been 25 to 30 pages.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Beautiful. Awesome. Well, we're running out of time now, as I knew we would. So,
Yeah, sorry about that.
no, that's okay. That's been valuable, and it's great to see that in a different industry with someone different like you, we're doing similar things. To get noticed and be seen as prepared and ready to go. And you're right about, if people see you prepared at the sales process, they know that you're also going to deliver. Megan's just said sizzle reel. Yeah, that's right, Megan. You had it spelt right in the questions that you have in the box there. Cool. Awesome. So I have got these basically. I would love for you to give me almost a 30-second answer on each of these three questions, because this is kind of like a rapid round of my own questions, because I think we all have different things. We handle our businesses and we take our businesses approach is different. And I think, well, I wanted to know the answer of these because I always love to pick up a tip or two here and there around what other people are doing. And if it makes sense to me, then I will do it myself. So, how do you achieve balance in your life between being a obviously solopreneur, entrepreneur, if you like, whatever you like to call yourself, to versus business and life? What do you do to achieve balance? Because I personally don't believe there is balance. There is something that I like to call flow. But what's your take on it?
Look, I don't think there's balance either. There's times when I work 7 days a week for months at a time, and there's times when I take weekends off or nights off, and it really depends on what work I'm doing at the time.
Mm.
But how I achieve it is when I'm working. When I'm taking time off, I'm not thinking about work. I'm spending time with my family. I'm doing things that I love to do. Um, there's certain nights of the week that is a non-work night, and that is it, and I go off and I play music, or I go dancing, or I do something that is totally away from a computer.
Yeah, nice. And I know you played the saxophone, is that right?
I do, and also the bass guitar.
Cool. Awesome. And that's how I approach it too. So we're kind of similar. When it's on, it's on. When it's off, you have like that extended period of time where you get really, really lazy. Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Absolutely.
So what about the times when mental funk strikes? So we can have ups and downs in business because, our life is very connected to our businesses, and how we perform. And sometimes we may not be performing or having as many sales, and we could start thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, my business is imploding. How do you handle when those days strike in your life?
Um, the first thing I do is I give myself a break,
Yes.
mentally and physically, from a business. So, I don't beat myself up if things aren't quite working to plan.
Mm-hmm.
I will go and pick up my saxophone and have play on the sax, or I'll go and have a chat with my partner and have a hug, or do something that is going to build up my endorphins
Yeah.
to get myself back in state.
Yeah.
Um,
Manage.
music's a big thing for me.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. And if people don't play an instrument, I guess they could put on their favorite song or dance around the lounge room or whatever it is that they need to do. But you're right, you got to change your state, and what are the things that will trigger that change? Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, the whether it's me playing a musical instrument or putting on, sort of one of my songs that I absolutely love is Happy, because you can't listen to that and not get happy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Love it. Love it. And my last one, and this is about a business resource. Like, what I always love to look for new resources, and this is some of the questions that I'll be asking people each week after week, because I'm sure we can all become a lot more resourceful if we had some cool little things that we can access that we didn't hear about earlier. So, what business resource, app, or a book would you recommend that's really made an impact in you? It can be something as simple as word swag, which is the thing that I use to put over my pictures to post them on social media, or as big as, is there something that you use that would be really helpful for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, two tools come to mind. One is called Workflowy.
Yep.
And what Workflowy is a brainstorming tool where you can put in hashtags and just search on those hashtags so you know what's coming up next. So it's kind of like a to-do list.
Yeah.
Um, it's an amazing tool that is a free tool. It's web-based, and yeah, I think it's awesome myself.
Work
The other one,
is a workflow.
Workflowy, workflowy.com.
Okay, cool, beautiful. Thank you.
So there's that one, and another tool that I like to use is a Mac-based tool which is called Simple Minds, which is a brainstorming uh, type tool where you just brainstorm different things and then you connect the dots up and come up with a pictorial.
Beautiful.
So they're the two tools that I think are awesome, and there are so many more.
Cool. Yeah, they are, and we can get overwhelmed if we would get too many. Get too many. So choose like the two or three that really would help you. But these are two that Chris uses for brainstorming: Workflowy and Simple Minds from that is only available on Max. So there you go. Fantastic. Thank you. And we're just on about 2.5 minutes to go. So what I wanted to do is obviously thank you kindly for your insights, and it's great to see like how you're in a different industry, for example, to what I operate in, but some of the underlying foundational stuff is so similar, and of how we approach sales and our customers and all that sort of stuff, and how do we win over quotes. Perfect. All right.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Natasha, and I've really enjoyed doing this.
Oh, gorgeous. And I'm hoping that everything's recorded good for you. If not, it's also on Facebook Live. People have been joining, and I can see them then. I've been waving and showing them your book. So guys, you know that I had Chris's book up there the whole time, tenderinguniversity.com. What did it have? .com? Just .com is her website if you want to check her out, and Tendering for Trade is her book. But as I'm finishing off in the last minute, because Facebook Live's going to cut me off, our upcoming events for the UBS events in March 15th, we've got the Adelaide and Sydney event. And if you want to come along to those, please go to the Ultimate Business Support Group, and under the events tab, you should be able to find those events being posted there. If you can't, then please PM me. What I was going to do as well is just on GoToWebinar, give you guys the two links that I have got for Adelaide and Sydney in the chat box, so you guys get those. I'm doing that right now. For those of you on Facebook, see you later, because my video has just finished on Facebook. It only goes for 30 minutes. Just for those of you that are on GoToWebinar, if you're going to live stream on Facebook, it actually only goes for 30 minutes. So just remember that, and it just literally finished then. But I've posted those two event links. I will see if the Melbourne one's ready, and I'll put those up anyway in a post today throughout the day. May not do it till late in the afternoon because I'm going off to do my workshop. Last of all, we have one last seat. Can you guys believe in the Bums on Seats Mastermind? We've been looking for the last 3 people. Last week we've got the two to go, and the last spot is available in Bums on Seats Mastermind. This was the 12-month training that we have at our home. And we're about to hit into the 3rd month, which means there's 10 more full days to attend of this mastermind and pre-recorded sessions. I've had a few thank yous come through for Chris, that Colin has loved the interview. Thank you, ladies. And thanks, Natasha, and a few other comments and little thank yous coming through. And so I trust this has been wonderful. Next week we'll have someone different. I can't think off the top of my head who it was, because I'm still in, it's just actually the sun has come up here in the west, and I'm going to go finish that makeup of mine so I can go and host my workshop here in Perth. I'm very excited. All right, guys, have a wonderful day, and I will see you next, and a great week ahead, and I will see you same time, same place, except at the normal time for me next week.